Whatever possessed you to marry Jack in the first place? Asked Beryl. He's not exactly Mr. Perfect, is he? We're sitting in the kitchen of a tiny terraced house off Granby Street. I'm warming my hands over a mug of hot Ovaltine. The smell of baking envelops me. I breathe in, fold my legs over a green velour sofa and kick off my shoes. It's clumsiness, I say. Clumsiness. I watch Beryl struggling to make sense of the word. Yeah, a man who trod on my toes the first time we met didn't look like the kind of person who'd ditch me. Whoever said life was meant to be easy? Oh, now look! In my haste to explain myself, I've knocked a mug of Ovaltine all over my best friend's sofa. We cast our eyes over the splashes of brown dotted across its pale fabric like a lino print. Beryl gazes at the steam rolling across her bamboo velour and shrugs away my protestations. She heaves herself out of the Parker Knoll armchair she's purchased outright and walks into the kitchen to find a cloth. But I can tolerate a lot, I tell her, as I dab at the stain with a handkerchief, even if I do feel I'm about to explode. So why don't you, Nella? She asks. She pushes a buttered scone onto my plate, sits down heavily to brush a few crumbs from her lap. She seems lost in the ritual, sweeping her knees to gather a couple of stray currants onto her plate. I'm warming my hands over the empty mug. The smell of baking scones envelops me. I breathe in, fold my legs into the only dry corner of the sofa I can find, and kick off my shoes. Because we're only just off rationing. Women don't walk out on their husbands. Even if I would like to be Ava Gardner, swept off on a cloud of Dearissimo. And I do have 2 kids. Well, you don't have to be a martyr like your mother, she replies, dismissing the tottering carapace of my marriage with a flick of her hand. And then there's the party. And then there's Ralph, I murmur to myself. Oh, exclaims Beryl, I hadn't realised your family doctor was part of the equation. Let's not bring Ralph Sackler into this, Beryl. He is a loyal married man after all. Loyal? To whom, may I ask? His wife and the party. Yet Ralph has made the suggestion more than once. You've only to say the word, Nella, for a half-an-hour appointment. It'd be a pleasure. I've batted away his advances for the worst possible motive. I'd want more than half an hour. I'd want it all. The tight embrace, arms and legs thrown to the wind, the crushed mouth, the sharp teeth, the sweatiness of it all. Anything to knock out the familiar domestic charabanc, craving attention from a husband whose imagination is elsewhere engaged. But still, I attempt to push the tobacco-cloaked presence of Ralph from my mind. Forget I ever mentioned his name, Beryl. I'm not going to risk being out in the cold again. Tell me more about Ralph, she persists. There's absolutely nothing in it, Beryl. Whatsoever. Is it my fault the family doctor finds me attractive? Even in a shabby winter coat, with chapped hands and corkscrew hair that won't lie flat? Stop causing trouble. I'm choked up to here with it already. That lousy father of yours certainly left his mark, says Beryl. Manny Bernstein, a dolled-up salesman with a life on the side's a crooner, before he sold his family down the line as well. A chorus girl, less than half his age from the Liverpool Grand Opera, only a few years older than I was. I'm not sure if Beryl's listening. Her eyes are fixed on the utility tea service displayed on a Welsh dresser above our heads. 5th of May 1931, more than 25 years ago, and it feels like yesterday. The scene rears up, the desolate street with its uniformed corporation knockers, the next-door neighbours watchful behind their net curtains, the pavement starting to sway, everything falling to pieces, the bitter taste in my mouth. I was standing in our back kitchen with my mother Bessie and my younger sister Hetty. "What's up?" I asked. It's no use waiting for Father. He's only just left on his rounds. Father's not coming back, said Mother in a daze. Ever. Her words sounded hollow. I knew then that although life had been hard until now, everything that came after would be worse. Mother put the kettle on. When it whistled, we watched the steam pour into the front room. Finally she said, go round the corner shop and get us a loaf, a sliced one. And then the bickering started. You go, said Hetty. It's not my turn, I replied. I always do your share, and so it carried on. Mother sat in the corner like a crumpled dormouse. Then she went upstairs to her room and never really came down. The sound of gushing water jolts me back to the present. Beryl is hunched over the cold tap, refilling the kettle and clattering the teacups. You never forget the taste of poverty, Beryl. It stings your tongue. Well, I can't see how the party's going to help you pay your bills, she sings back. Jack's forever out on the knocker, dragging you along with him whenever he can. And any bits of money he comes by seem to go straight back into party coffers. That's unfair, Beryl. A party that only consists of rotas and agendas, what Lenin did or didn't say to Trotsky in 1924. A load of middle-aged men with big egos and pot bellies. Beryl! Don't talk about Jerry Gibson like that. He was more of a father to me than my own. He taught me how to address a crowd of dockers down at the pier head without losing my voice. That man gave me a voice. Jerry and I were close. Beryl arches her eyebrows and stands up to stretch her legs. He made everything seem crystal clear. Pity it didn't turn out like that, she replies, sniffing. Whatever do you mean? What with all these differences being bandied about? Hordes of people being bombed off in the great and dignified Soviet Union. Only rumours, but they're enough to make Ruby jumpy, that's all. She balances a fresh batch of scones onto a cake plate and holds it out to me. I shake my head, then take two. Don't you start, Beryl, you're not even in the party. Quite. Look, without the party, where would I be? Back on the street? I'm not a free agent like you. There's Jack's parents to think of, apart from my mother. And what would Jabbar Muriel downstairs think? Please yourself for one size, Beryl. Sounds like you've already found yourself another model. Be rash. She pushes her latest copy of Woman's Own into my handbag. This might give you a few ideas. Beryl, I don't need a magazine to tell me how to behave. I'm only 34. I want to feel alive. I just want more. Last night I had a dream about Ralph. We walk in along Prince's Park. It was hot. I'd unbuttoned my cardigan. He took one look at me and said, "You've kept your figure. You're just like a young girl." Then he swooped me into his arms. That dream must have been powerful, because I woke up in the middle of it, fell back to sleep, and dreamed it a second time. This time, I was eating my favourite ice cream, butterscotch, by the side of the boating pond. Ralph dropped his vanilla slice in the water. For a split second, I hesitated and carried on eating mine. Ralph pulled away from me. He stormed off in a sulk. In the end, I walked home on my own. Next thing I knew, he'd had a heart attack. I had to drop everything to look after him. This isn't how the arrangement was meant to work out, I remember thinking, me tending to Ralph rather than the other way round. Look, I'm scared of the consequences, Beryl, of letting everything rush out. Better to breathe in deeply and carry on. But, oh, Beryl. Yes, she asks, looking into my eyes. I look into the clock. It's 3. I swig the remains of Ovaltine and hug Beryl close, catching a smell of warm flower and lily of the valley. I'm worried I've revealed too much, even to Beryl. Let my feelings tumble out of a well I've stoppered up for years. Will she whisper my secrets to her husband Reuben, Jack's close comrade? I push my thoughts back into their bottle and try to cork them up. Life's a bundle of contradictions after all, as Jack never stops telling me. I find myself fighting back tears. I want to tell Beryl about the trip up Mount Snowdon, the honeymoon weekend to Lytham St Anne's, first time I went to the Rocket to listen to Alan Kane and his radio boys, our wedding day, with a flock of rabbis crowding round Jack as if they were trying to handcuff him. But the words collapse in my mouth. You don't know how lucky you are, I think, to have a husband with a steady job as a probation officer who does the washing up, takes you to the Grafton to see musicals, and brings you Yardley's scent on your birthday. Beryl stands on the porch. Her black nursing shoes straddle the freshly bleached front step. She bends down to pull up a stray weed from a neat border of shrubs and glances up to wave goodbye. I walk to the corner of Granby Street, turn into the wide boulevard of Princess Avenue and wave back, then hurry on. Thank you.